students, wish you very warm welcome in this new course, in this new semester. And the name of our course, as all of you are aware of, is Vibration and Noise, and its code number is 321. So it has got two components into it. The first one that we are going to see is vibration, and the second component that we'll be having a look at is noise. Okay, so in all, our course will be divided into two components, of which the first one will be vibration, which will be kind of um, taking care of 70% of the course, and remaining 30% of the course will be concerned with the noise part. Okay, so we'll be starting with the vibration, and noise is something that we are going to have a look at in the later half. Okay, so let's kind of keep this noise part away for time being, and let's start with the vibration. Okay, so let me first of all explain you what do we mean by vibrations. Okay, so typically what we refer to by vibration is oscillation of any mechanical system. Okay, so think of oscillation of mechanical systems, in which you can think of many systems. Okay, so let's start with a very simplistic one, which you might have come across in your early years as well, which is a pendulum. So there is a mass blob over here, which is attached to fixed support at this end, and there is either a string or a rod which is joining this mass blob to the fixed support. So this is a very simplistic system that you might have seen or kind of studied as well in a very brief manner. Okay, so this is the first very simplistic system that comes to my mind. Okay, and then think of another system, so which is something like a beam, one end of which is fixed. Okay, and imagine that you are hammering this end. Okay, then you will see that this beam will carry out to and fro motion. Okay, that is what we mean by oscillation. Okay, so it is carrying out to and fro motion about a mean position. Okay, and that's what we refer to as oscillation. And when that system is mechanical system, then we call it as a vibration. Okay, you can see such oscillations in many of the other systems, okay, which are non-mechanical systems. There we will not be calling it as an oscillation. Even if you see in your stock market, okay, your share prices, you will see that they kind of oscillate about a mean position at some times, but we will not be calling that share price is vibrating. We'll rather be saying that it is showing oscillations, but here we call it as a vibration. Okay, so which is specific to mechanical or even the structural systems. Okay, so now these are two very simplistic mechanical systems that we have seen, but these need not be the only systems. Okay, you can think of complicating the system to any level. Okay, so maybe a car or an aeroplane, a centrifuge, or any such system. Okay, even a simple washing machine that is there in your house, which must be running behind you at present in at least some of the houses. Okay, so that washing machine also, you might have seen that most of the times it also shows you vibrations. Okay, where there is either one single mass block or a set of mass blocks. They perform to and fro motion about a mean position, and they oscillate, and that's why we call it as a vibration. So obviously in all this system there is a mass which is carrying out this to and fro motion, and there is one more entity. Okay, this is entity number one, and there is another entity which is internal resistive force. Okay, also termed as something which is giving rise to stiffness. Okay, so there are these two quantities which are very important in this vibrations context. The first one is the mass, which is showing this oscillatory motion, and second one is this internal resistive force, which is causing this mass to return back to its original position. So for example, if you see this system, which is a pendulum, so let me draw that pendulum once again over here. So this is a pendulum. Okay, imagine that you have disturbed it and the pendulum has taken this new position. This was mean position and this is now position number 1, okay, which is after the disturbance. And if you leave this pendulum from here, then what will happen is that there is some internal force, okay, which is causing this disturbed pendulum to return back to its original position. And in that attempt, in pulling it back to the mean position, it rather carries out the to and fro motion. The intention was just to bring it over here, but since it has got a mass also, then that mass kind of makes it this carry this oscillatory motion. Okay, so this is essentially an interplay between the mass and the stiffness, okay, which is showing you oscillatory motion of this pendulum about this mean position. Okay, same is true over here in this case, which is a beam. Okay, so if you disturb the beam which was in this stable condition, okay, if you disturb the beam and make it take this new position, and if you leave it, okay, from there, then what happens is that there is some internal force, internal resistive force, that is pulling this beam back, and in doing so this beam performs oscillatory motion about this mean position. Okay, so this is the mean position, this is mean position. Okay, so about this mean position the beam is performing oscillatory motion, and we say that the beam is vibrating. So in order the beam to vibrate, so what all we need is it should have mass and it should have a force which will try to bring it back to its mean position. Okay, so essentially it should have a stiffness. Okay, we measure that force by the stiffness, and I'll show you how exactly it relates to that internal resistive force very soon. Okay, so this is true in any of the systems that you will see. Okay, let it be a very simple pendulum like a system, or let it be a very complicated turbine blade, or let's say aeroplane or car, or any kind of mechanical system which is vibrating. You'll see that these two things are essentially there. Without these two things you will not be seeing this vibratory motion. So it should have a mass and it should have a stiffness. So it should essentially provide, the system should essentially provide resistance to the disturbance that you are trying to give externally. Okay, so with this, let's try to see what all we are going to study in our course. Okay, so are we going to study all these systems? Ideally yes, but practically no. So what we do is, we rather than studying these different systems, we map all these systems in a very simple system. Okay, so the simple system that I am referring to is a spring mass setup. Okay, so imagine that there is a mass block M. Okay, this is a mass block M, and it is attached to a fixed support using a spring. Okay, this is a spring and this is a mass. Okay, so this is a representative figure. You will not see such kind of system anywhere in most of vibrating structures that you will be encountering into. But essentially we are trying to kind of approximate all those structures by using this simple mass spring block. Okay, where mass block M has no stiffness. Okay, and the spring has no mass. Okay, these are very two important assumptions what we are doing. We are separating stiffness from mass. Okay, so the very earlier system that you have seen, the system, this system number 1, system number 2, or any of the other systems, in this you have a pendulum. In this pendulum you have this mass block, okay, and then this rod. Okay, assume that rod is massless. Okay, rod has got no any role in contribution to mass. Okay, So similarly over here, okay, you will be able to change the system into equivalent system. So this can be changed into an equivalent system where entire mass of the structure will be lumped in a one single mass block, and the overall stiffness which is provided by the spring for the transverse motion will be lumped into this spring, okay, which will be having a stiffness K. Okay. So now when we are having this new equivalent system with us, mass is having no contribution of the spring, and K, which is the stiffness of the spring, it is representing this spring. That spring has got no any mass associated with it. Okay. These are two very essential assumptions that we are making over here, and we can reduce any system to this equivalent structure. However, you need to understand that this is not the only system we are analyzing. We are mapping all other very difficult complicated systems onto this very simple system, and now we'll be solving this. Okay, so in next lecture what we are going to do is we'll be having a look at this system. We'll be constructing governing equation of motion of this mass. We'll try to see how that equation can be solved, and most importantly, once you get the solution, what is the meaning of that solution. Okay, so what do you understand by the solution, what is the nature of the solution, what it is trying to tell you. Okay, so we'll start with this simplistic system, but you'll see that in many cases you will not be able to approximate structure in this way. Okay, so rather it will be easier for you to approximate it in this way, okay, where you have many more mass and stiffness particles. Okay, so this is called as multi-degree of freedom system. Okay. This is single degree of freedom system. Okay. Since mass particle m is the only thing which is moving, okay, so you can give displacement to only one single mass, and the system is entirely defined. That's why it is a single degree of freedom system. Whereas as many mass blocks are over here, you will be requiring those many inputs in order to define the system entirely. So you will be giving U1, U2, U3, U4. So this will be a 4D of system the way I have drawn it. Okay. And you will be having either 4 different stiffnesses, or you can have identical stiffnesses. Okay. So again, this is a representative model. The actual system will be very different. You can think of actual system something such as 4-story building lying on the ground, and let's say that earthquake hits it. So what will be the response of the system? So if you want to find out that, then you can map this very complicated system onto this very simplistic one. Okay, this is called as a lumped model. Okay, so you reduce it to this lumped model in which you are differentiating between the stiffness and mass. Mass particles are not having any stiffness values attached to it. Okay, and these springs are not having any mass. Okay, no contribution in mass by these springs. Okay, so what you do is you approximate this realistic structure by such kind of equivalent but simple system. Then you will be solving this system. You will be finding out displacements of all these masses, okay, velocities and accelerations of all these masses, and then you will be mapping them back on the original system. By using these displacements U1, U2, U3, U4, you will be able to predict what is going to happen to this building. Okay, so rather than solving this building structure as a whole, so what you do is you map it onto a very simple structure, you solve it and then take it back. Okay, so most of the times we do it this way, right? So if you are not able to solve the problem the way it is posed, you kind of try to change it to a simplistic one, and then you solve that simplistic problem and then try to imagine so what would happen if in case of the realistic problem. Okay, So this is what is going to be uh, kind of an overview of the vibration part, and then after all we'll be going to continuous systems. Okay, after completing single degree of freedom system and multi degree of freedom system, in the last section of this course we'll also be having a look at continuous systems, where mass will be distributed. So you will be analyzing beam as a whole. Okay. So rather than modeling it in this fashion, we'll be analyzing this entire structure, okay, which is a beam structure. Okay, we'll try to see how can we analyze this in the very end of this section of the course. Okay, in the very end of the vibration part. Okay, and thereafter we'll have a look at noise part. Okay, so we'll stop over here for this module, and then in the next module we'll start with the single degree of freedom system. We'll try to derive its equation of motion, and we'll also be solving it. Okay, thank you. Bye.